As you've seen in the code generation overview, there are two configuration tables used by the CodeGen process and the load framework. These need to be populated for any new entity. T-entity list defines attributes at the entity level. Here's the entity list configuration for the test fact entity we'll be working with. The spreadsheet has been exported as a TSV file and uploaded to cloud storage. We can view the file from Snowflake using the list command. So here's the entity list update file that we've uploaded to S3. To process this, we'll run sp update t-entity list, which will update the entity list table. After we run the update, we can look at the table. What we can see is that we've added a entity test fact. We've pointed to the location where data files will be placed and where there'll be a stage object created by the CodeGen process to point to. We've also overridden the file format from the standard that's defined for the framework to indicate the type of file that it will be. And we've also identified the entity name for the transform entity. In this case, it's the same as the source entity, but it doesn't have to be. The standard file format, by the way, for the framework is specified in the application configuration table. Now we move on to the other configuration table, which needs to be populated for our new test fact entity. T-source entity list defines column-level attributes for an entity. Here's the spreadsheet we've created for the source entity list input for our test fact entity. So we, for each field, have indicated what the staging column name will be and what the corresponding transformation column name will be. In this case, they're the same, but of course they don't have to be. One of the fields that we're pulling into the staging table, we've decided we're not going to include in the transformation process. And we are, for all fields, specifying the data type for the type view and for the transformation. Okay, so we've exported and uploaded the source entity list input to S3. We can look at the file from Snowflake, and we can use it as input to our update procedure. Running it now. Okay, 6 rows have been inserted for the configuration, and now let's take a look at what it looks like in the table. So for test fact, we have our 6 data fields defined. Looks like the spreadsheet. The only difference is the update procedure has added input sequence numbers corresponding to the order that the columns will be in the input file. So we're ready to go for our column information. Now, in some cases, you're not going to want to pull in all of the source input fields. Instead, you're going to want to specify the ones you want. The framework has a subset option to allow you to do this. In this case, we're creating a source entity list configuration that says pull in the first, the second field, skip over the fourth, the third and the fourth, and then pull in the fifth and the sixth. Okay, so we've uploaded our new subset configuration, and now we can run the update subset proc. After we do that, let's take a look at the table. So we can see that now we're only referencing 4 of the 6 input fields. And now that we've updated the configuration for test fact, we can generate all the code by running genSource entity all scripts and passing it the entity name. this procedure will call 6 stored procedures which generate all of the object creation scripts and upload them to S3. So let's take a look at them. There we go. So these are the object creation scripts that have been generated and automatically uploaded to S3. We can also call these individually, and the output will go back to the console. So let's look at what the CodeGen process created. Here's the first script. At the top, we've got the staging table. All the data is in a single variant column, which is a JSON array. Wrapped around it is the file path, the row number of the data, and the update date and user when the data was loaded. Second object created is the stream on the table, which is a trigger for transform processing. Next, we've got the stage object, which points to the cloud location where data files are going to be. Next, we've got the pipe, which is a container for the copy command, which loads the file data into the staging table. Next, we've got the transform task, which runs every minute and looks for data in the stream. If it finds it, then it calls the handler, which is the SP transform entity procedure, passing it the entity name. And finally, we've got the transform table itself. Next script is the raw view on top of the JSON data. This turns it into relational format. The output of this is not data typed. The next script is for the type view. The type view is data type. Anything that fails typecasting becomes null. The next view is the error view. The error view compares the raw and the typed and identifies any casting errors and any fields that are defined as not null that contain null after typecasting, either because they came in null or they failed the typecasting. The next script just has a union of all of the other views. And finally, we've got the transform task itself. And I'm going to be going into this in some detail in a subsequent video, so I'll leave it there.